Lily Nassau was the biggest Tiffany dealer probably in the world. She opened up doors for my father that no one else could have opened up, you know, in the gallery world, as well as the Smithsonian while he was still alive, which is pretty rare. We were brought up being around some of the best art ever created in this country. I mean, that alone was a blessing.
He started from nothing and literally within 2 to 3 years rose to the very top echelon of glass in New York. And of course, if you are an artist and you're received in New York, you're received. Lillian took my dad's glass and she said, "This is what I consider to be the new Tiffany."
I remember doing a show with my father out on the East Coast. I was 23, 24, and I met this other artist, and he was telling me how long he's been blowing glass. And he's like, well, how long you been blowing glass? I've been blowing glass for about, 14 years already. And he looks at me, he's like, no way. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, who are you? And it kind of clicked in my head. It's like, yeah, most people, they don't have that ability. And me and my brothers just fell into it because of my father. My brother Dave, my brother John, we all worked with my father in the shop. We helped build the shop. We built the tools, we built the furnaces. I mean, ground up, annealing ovens, everything in our shops we built because they weren't available like they are now. Our level of quality, my father taught us, is at the top, you know. That's what's different between our glass and a lot of other artists. We never sell seconds.
We developed our colors from the ground up, and we're still developing color right as we speak right now. That's probably the biggest difference. We learned a lot of it, you know, from scratch.
We feed off each other, and we fed off my father, and my father fed off what he saw.
The weird thing is that, you know, what is a Lotton style? You want to make what your dad's making because it's cool, and he's, you know, famous and he's making really nice stuff. But if you're an artist, you have to know that you've got to come up with your own things. And I told each one of the boys in the back there that are working, they will start out most likely doing copies of what we did. Like an eagle kicks the babies out of the nest. I had to kick my boys away from making my stuff. And they each came up with their own style. And that's the best way to have a good legacy. People that are collecting art, they want to know that the people that they're buying from are artists and they're moving forward. I'm 61 now, so it's like I'm not making stuff like I was when I was 25, you know, and I don't even really want to.
My father would always talk to us and let us know what it takes. And don't fall short, you know, you always got to recreate yourself so people have something different.
The hard thing is that you know, you're selling things that people don't have to have, number one. So you have to come up with some ideas that are so tempting that people buy them. You know, that they turn loose of their money and say, I just got to have one of them. And my dad, one of his little lines was, somebody'd be sitting there looking at something and he'd say something like, now why would you deprive yourself of owning that when you know you own it?
He was sincere about making something that somebody could appreciate and love as much as he did.
And he made glass all the way up until he died. He was like 85, 86, and he really did make glass all the way till he didn't fall over it. But it wouldn't have surprised me if he did.
We thought he was going to.
Yeah.
To be gifted to go from one thing to another. As a kid, you seeing something like that is pretty heavy on you, and to make something so beautiful, you know, for somebody's home. Because inevitably, you're creating art for people to enjoy and admire in their own homes. It's fulfilling, you know, that somebody appreciates what you're doing too. My whole family We've all been blessed with the ability to do what we love. Not a lot of people get to do that in life. If you're going to put it all together in a glass shop and be an artist, I mean, the hats are many.
The old school artists were artists, craftsmen, and the craftsman part is so that you could replicate the cool thing that you just did, you know? Because if you did it once, that's one thing, but if you want to sell it, you got to replicate it. And then the next thing is that you have to be kind of an inventor, and you have to be chemist. There's just a lot of things that go into it. I had a kid walk into my place when I was at the studio, and he was watching me, and he's like, I could do that. And I'm like, well, I'm glad that you feel so good watching me that you feel like you could do that.
They're living vicariously through you.
Yeah,
because they watch you do it, and it looks so easy. It's like,
well, we're here to produce something that's going to bring a little joy in somebody else's life.
I mean, my father become a glass artist out of pure desire. He'd sit there and tell us how beautiful something was and how much he liked it. And that didn't come out that often, though. And he did it to Dave or me or my brother John. He'd sit there and tell us how beautiful something was and how much he liked it. And I just looked up at him when he said that. I said, well, Dad, we all learned that from you.